Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by...
Located on Lake Pontchartrain, Frisbee's Lakefront Restaurant and Bar offers traditional West End favorites, a scenic view, oysters, and numerous tasty options. More information is available at 504-304-4125 or brisbysrestaurant.com. Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House has been shucking here since 1979. Located at 3117 21st Street in Metairie, Mr. Ed's Oyster Bar and Fish House offers raw, fried, and grilled oysters as well as a range of Cajun and Creole dishes. Enjoy a dozen with a smile. Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is the first place award winner of the 2015 New Orleans Press Club's Excellence in Journalism Award for the category of Best TV Sports Show.
Good evening, New Orleans, and welcome to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Over the next hour, I'm going to talk a lot about prep recruiting, also the LSU Tigers, Tulane Green Wave. We'll also get into the New Orleans Saints, and we got a great panel for you tonight. Rene, Nadeau, and also Coach Gaille, both of WHNO-TV, sportsnola.com, and so much more. Great panel for you tonight. Guys, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being with us. Well, I'd like you guys to kind of expound on what you guys are involved in, and Rene, we'll take you first. If you would, tell the folks a little bit about all the things you're doing media-wise.
Football season. I'm a TV analyst, college football TV analyst for a few different networks. I work for CBS Sports Radio for events like Saints games, Pelicans games, Super Bowls, Sugar Bowls, stuff like that. Work with Rick on Prep Recruiting Insider, and work Sports NOLA. Right on Sports NOLA. I think I got everything covered.
Do a great job, by the way.
Thank you.
Coach? First of all, welcome back.
It's
Coach,
a pleasure being here.
By the way, will be sitting in for me on Friday on my radio show. Does a great job there. Also, you can catch him on WGSO Radio. Tell us about all you're involved in.
The first thing, I schlep for Rene here. Whatever he needs, I make sure that he has it, that I tee him up so that he can hit it.
Always good to have one of those guys.
So he can hit it out the park. But this is our third year working together. What a great pleasure it's been working with Rene on Prep Recruiting Insider. Write for Sports NOLA and do radio. I love substituting for you because a lot of your listeners are the same listeners we have on Saturday morning with the three tailgaters with Ken Trahan and Ed Daniels. And so there's a lot of carryover there. It's a great audience. And so really enjoy working with you, with Ken, with Ed, Rene, and so many other people. Just having a great time.
Great to have both you guys on the show. And, you know, when we talked about, wanted to talk about recruiting tonight, there was only two guys I was going to turn to. It would be you two guys. And if folks have not checked out your TV show, please tell them a little bit about it because it's a year-round show, right, for the most part? I mean, at least during the football season.
26
right?
weeks.
26 weeks. Tell them a little bit more about it, if you would.
Prep Recruiting Insider originates WHNO every Wednesday, airs at 6 p.m., 6 to 7 p.m., Channel 20 Cox on WHNO. And we have the recruits, the top recruits from anywhere in the metro area. Mm-hmm. We have a coach on, the coach from that particular school, and we usually have a legend on, a guy who excelled, played in high school football here, and excelled either at a high level in college or in the NFL level.
Right. Coach, what can you add?
Yeah, and you can find episodes at sportsnola.com. Click videos and then go to PRI. It's always almost a year's worth going back. The show's been on 5 years. And so YouTube has a lot of them, but it's Sports NOLA under videos. You can see it, and it's a terrific format. Yeah. We really can draw the kids out, and a lot of times it's their first time going through that type of experience. And Rene and I really do a nice job, I believe, and we're getting good at it finally, of drawing them out and getting them really into the act, so people are able to find out information there that they just can't find anywhere else.
Well, congratulations on your success. It's a great show.
Thank you.
Really is. Guys, let's start off with the LSU Tigers. Obviously, National Signing Day was on Wednesday, as we are, have our live broadcast tonight. It's Thursday. A little bit of a fallout. Everybody's got their opinion on how LSU did in this year's recruiting class. Nationally, some are having them at 6th or 7th in the nation. There was a good chance if Marvin Wilson would have signed, they would have got into the top 5. That did not happen. But Rene, I'll start with you. Why don't you critique LSU's 2017 class for us?
I'd say in the top 10, and you go back 12 years, which I did, LSU has been in the top 10, 11 of those years. And that says a lot because it's tough to follow up, and you're competing with so many schools, Alabama's, Michigan's, and Ohio State's, Florida State's. But LSU filled a lot of needs. They closed very strong, got some linebackers. And as Rick knows, you know, you're not just recruiting for the future now. You're landing kids that are ready or SEC ready to play. And they signed some players that can play immediately. And a lot goes into it. Sometimes you can't help if a young man wants to go to another school or whatever it may be. Marvin Wilson, I think they did everything they could possibly do, and it was a coin toss until the very last second, and he went with Florida State. But sometimes, you know, you got to roll the dice on kids. Is he as good as he's going to get because of age or skill or whatever it may be? Grades. I mean, there's so many things come into it that you have to be very careful. You have to have your secondary list ready to go. Yeah. And that's all about preparation.
Coach, critique this 2017 class for us. I want to get into some specifics in a few minutes, but just overall.
Good balance between the positions. They didn't need to sign tight ends, so they didn't sign one. Two very different quarterbacks. It's going to be interesting to see their development. Some familiar names. I'm familiar with the Lowell Narcissus family from being at St. James, and the Brennans are the Brennans. Yes, it's from that side. Yes. It's from that family, and they're two very different quarterbacks. And quarterback play has got to be paramount going forward. That's what's held them back so far. Very interesting with their linebacking selections because Dave Aranda this past year was short in the linebacking area. He would love to play with 11 linebackers on defense if he could because he could just draw stuff up and have people coming from everywhere. And the linebacking group, signing 4 of them, look like they could fit in to his to what he does. 2 defensive tackles as well, and 5 people in the secondary. So a good balance in the class, as Rene mentioned, in the top 10, certainly the last 5 years in succession. So Ogeron, in what is probably his most difficult year, being the interim, taking over for a popular guy in recruiting. Recruiting certainly has not been Les Miles' problem. But being named later, let some other teams in to Louisiana, and so more people were able to come in and siphon off people here and there. So he did a good job, I believe, in his most difficult year. I think he's going to continue to improve. I'm sure he will continue to improve from what he did this year. So he laid a pretty good foundation and finished strong.
Okay. I want you to take that, Rene, because that's one of my questions. Considering the change at head coach, considering the unknown throughout the season on whether he was going to be the head coach, whether it was going to be someone else, considering everything that kind of evolved around this, the fact that really these were Les Miles recruits they were trying to continue to hold on to, and while other schools are coming in and taking their shots, is it unfair to be able to really kind of judge him harshly on this class? A lot of people were looking for more 5 stars. A lot of Baton Rouge kids end up leaving, going to Alabama and other schools. Is it because he was the interim and this is really his first time recruiting at LSU? A top 6, 7 finish, is that palatable? Is it unfair to say that he should have been in the top 5?
First of all, what he did, and people seem to forget, when did he get the head coaching job, Eric? Not long after the season. So he was recruiting as he's going along. He's an interim coach, and he doesn't get the job until the season is over. So he's recruiting, not even know if he's going to be the head coach. That's tough. And you get coaches in there, and I mean, you can close all you want, but the die had been cast in some cases that kids are already going somewhere else. Sometimes kids want to leave for some reason. They want to leave the environment, they want to get away and see other things, whatever it may be. But he did as well as he could possibly do under the circumstances because he didn't really recruit for the whole year. He recruited really as an LSU coach the last month or so, and that's all he could do.
So sixth, 7th play. Yeah. I mean, that's in your opinion, that's really a good grade considering where he was and where he had to go.
Well, and I'm going to tell you something else too, and you can look back now because the decision has been made, but a Marvin Wilson, as an example, it came down to a coin flip. He didn't know Wednesday morning where he was going. And so if he goes there, they jump 2 slots.
Yes, at
they
least.
jump 2 slots. Right. Mm-hmm. So he would have been 6th or 7th, 4th or 5th. So Marvin Wilson coming, and it's all about one guy's decision that made a difference in the slot. So does it make that much difference because one person? It is what it is.
Coach, you've coached at high school, you coach on the collegiate level.
Right.
How difficult, this is a difficult process, 17-year-old young men to come in and to, have them cast their lot with your school. As Rene mentioned, a lot of kids want to get away today. It's a different era than we saw. As I mentioned on the show yesterday, the radio show, kids grew up from the pacifier in their mouth was purple and gold. They had the T-shirt on. Some kids, as soon as they came out of the womb, they were going to LSU. Now, a lot of kids want to get away. They want to get out of that environment. So if you lived in Baton Rouge your whole life, you played in the shadow of Tiger Stadium, and you get an opportunity to go somewhere else, you may want to do that. And, of course, seeing other parts of the country that you've never seen before, all that kind of plays into what we're seeing now in Louisiana kids that may want to go elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely. It's become much more fluid. The whole world is open to them. And their opportunities. I was a recruiting coordinator at Tulane, and we recruited nationwide with WLAE English. So I'm very familiar with that process. And looking back, Ed Ogeron wasn't the only one who was in an interim. The recruiting coaches were all interim as well. They wondering, am I recruiting for somebody that I'm going to coach? You're out on the road and you're recruiting, you're trying to maintain the contacts. But it just would just be natural for it to not be as wholehearted as it is if you're recruiting for you, because none of them had jobs. Because if they go completely outside, they're all gone. And even after he was named, as we found out very quickly after he was named the full-time coach, there was going to be staff changes. And if you're going to be replaced, you're doing your best to be loyal to the school because you want to be loyal to drawing your paycheck.
Yes.
You don't want word to go out around the country and trying to get other jobs that, hey, as soon as I found out I was going to the zoo instead of going and finding players. So them finishing 7th and it is quite good because it's a really short trip from the penthouse to the outhouse. Just think in our lifetime how Notre Dame used to be every year. Number 1, number 2, all the time, year after year after year. Now when they talk about Notre Dame, they've got a top 25 class. And I'm going, whoa! USC finally got back into it this year after falling off for many years. The same thing with Michigan. So it's a short trip from the top to the bottom. And for them to finish 7th with the people that they lost, especially in the middle of the day. And to show you how fickle this is, at 11 o'clock, we're thinking, they're in trouble. This guy went out to Auburn. They lost the guy to Mississippi State. Oh, my God, what's going to happen? And then 2 hours later, wait, they have a chance of being a top 5 class. And I'm going, whoa, folks, take a deep breath. Take a mental martini and just enjoy the process. Enjoy watching the development of the young man. Do some studying and learn about them because, as you mentioned, Rene, you hope you're recruiting kids that you only have for 3 years now.
Right.
You're not looking at 5 years anymore. You hope that they're good enough that in 3 years they're in position to move to the NFL.
Well, isn't that what, especially programs like LSU are doing now? The most that they think, if these kids are quality kids, and they're developing the way they should, they're figuring they got them 3 years. That's it.
Well, kids come on our show, and at every level, and they are a 2-star, 1-star, no star, and they say, well, I want to go to XYZ for 3 years, maybe a 4 years. They thinking. Every kid that comes out of high school thinks he's going to college for 3 years. So, it's a different mindset, but I want to also piggyback what Rick said and expound a little bit. Not only did Ed Ogeron and the coaches recruit, they had men fences. Think how many guys jumped ship. Lowell Narcisse, Miles Brennan, guys were jumping ship because they were tied. I know Miles Brennan and his family, and because they had the real close tie, Lowell Narcisse with Cam Cameron. And so all of a sudden it's like, I don't know. And also, and people talked a lot about somebody that Rick and I know, Pete Jenkins is 75 years young. And the thing is that you couldn't find many defensive line coaches at any level, highest level, NFL, who knows what he knows.
Yes.
And he is coaching against guys around the country who coach other places, defensive line, that he tutored. And so guys want to come play for him because Pete may not get out in the stances anymore and show you, but his mind, he is down at a camp in Orlando with Tom Shaw right now, tutoring college kids and guys in the NFL, playing in the NFL, on how they can get better. He's the best at it.
Ed Ogeron talked about the fact that they got to do a better job next year of getting on guys early, getting them out to the camps, getting them when they're underclassmen in high school, and getting on those kids early. He talked about, again, when he came in taking the job, he wants to get more 5 stars, and that is, instead of the 4 stars they've been getting, because he's going to have to compete with Alabama. Was he successful in getting some 5 stars this year, or is that something we're going to have to look to the future?
We've always got to look to the future with it, even though it's only 3 years. Because here's a number I keep going back to. There were 80 players named to the Pro Bowl. We talk about the original rosters. There's 80 of them. 45 of the 80 were 3 stars or worse coming out of high school. We're talking about the best of the best now.
A little over half.
58.25%.
Wow.
Were 3 stars, 2 stars, or no stars. That was a significant number of no stars. 17%, 16% were not rated coming out of high school. So evaluation of players, because once again, stars are being awarded to these kids by people who have no skin in the game.
Yes.
Okay? They're just people who you hope that they're looking at film. Most of them aren't even looking at film. They're just talking to this person, talking to that person. Oh, he can really play, and he can't play. So the star system isn't a fair evaluation, as we see, simply by the best of the best at the pro level. Look at what the good schools do. They do a great job of evaluating where they are now and looking at the variables of where they could be. They're picturing not just where the guy is now, but where can he be? What are the measurables? How does he fit on the checklist? Every recruiting coach at the best schools have a checklist, and the kids got to fit in with those particular criteria. One of them very well could be if you have 2 kids who are even, and one is a 17-year-old senior and one's a 19-year-old senior, the weight should go to the 17-year-old senior, because that's a significant amount of growth. So at any level, player evaluation is critical. What are they going to develop into? What can they be? Can they fit in with what they do? Are they coachable? Are they good citizens? Are we going to have to spend a lot of capital around the campus, keeping them out of trouble and the like? So being able to evaluate where they are now, being somewhat predictive of where they go into the future, is going to be interesting. And that's why I tell fans, let's take a deep breath and enjoy these kids, because watching them grow and develop is really fun to watch.
Rene, because the star system is so subjective, is it incumbent upon the coaches to be able to get these kids in the camps, to have a relationship with the high school coaches, to really kind of get into the nuts and bolts of these kids, to see with your own eyes on what the kid can do, and then maybe to evaluate on him on what he may be able to do in your program?
It would be incumbent for them to do that, but a lot of coaches recruit now on internet and things like that.
Okay.
They see a lot of that stuff.
So on the films, on the YouTube videos, or just on the star system?
Well, the coaches who are recruiting, a lot of it sometimes goes into, if they see a kid they don't like, so it's not as much going into all these schools and stuff like that. They'll watch things on the internet, whatever it may be. It's not as much as, recruiting, Rick going out there and we looking at it with binoculars, seeing what you're looking at, things like that. Kind of cuts it off a little bit. I got to tell you, I don't think I've had a lot of impact on. I've had coaches in the past just ask my opinion, which I may be one of a few. Sure. You saw this kid. What do you think of this kid? You rate this kid, whatever. And I've just one opinion, and I think what they're looking for is if I may tell them something they didn't know about, or did you know this kid did this good, this bad, whatever it may be. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. So they may talk to 10 people like me. But the thing is that there's too much dependent on that, getting them to camp. And if they have one bad camp, I was told Ketone Thompson, player of the year, had a couple of not really good camps when he was an underclassman.
Right.
And that scratched him right there. Talking about stars. Matt Forte was a 2-star. He had scholarship offers from Tulane and Southeastern. So I'm just saying, you could miss on some guys. But it's the days, Eric, of going out there and looking at guys and looking at them on the hoof and judging. Rick and I looking at a defensive back after he gets burned. How's he going to come back?
Yeah.
No, they don't show that anymore. They don't show that on highlight films.
No, they only show them what they're doing well.
They want to shoot it well. So I'm saying, Rick, watch this guy just got burned. See how he's going to bounce back. Stuff like that. I cannot believe as much as some of these guys, not all recruiters, but a lot of guys, miss on that.
Yes.
The ABCs.
Guys, the big elephant in the room literally is Alabama. And I guess the big question is, with Alabama coming into LSU's backyard and really taking the pick of the litter, whatever they wanted, they pretty much got for the most part. How can LSU expect to be able to compete with Alabama in November if they can't win in February?
It's got to be great player development because recruiting is something that you've got to have some success. You've got to have hope. Hope is everything in football. That's not just a sideline. So you've got to, in the meantime, be able to compete. Now, it's a fine line. As good as Alabama's been, LSU is not. It's not like they're light years behind. But Tommy Moffitt just got a contract extension. He's very important in this. You've got to take the players that you have and make every single one of them the best they can possibly be, so that other people want to go there and get that world-class type of player development, because it's more than just getting great players, and it's more than just drawing X's and O's. There's a lot of development from the time they step on the campus to the time that they're finished. You've got to be able to develop every single player to the best of their ability, be world-class, just like you are in education in the university. You have to be world-class in player development, and then have great, bright coordinators who come up with schemes and plans and designs that can affect the other football team.
Rene, I'll ask you the same question. How can LSU win in November if they can't beat Alabama in February?
Well, the thing is that it's going to be a lot more, because you're going to be playing with guys who are already on campus. How much better than the freshmen and sophomores got last year? How much better are they? You're going to have guys that make quantum leap from their freshman year, sophomore years, guys that maybe wouldn't see in the field last year are going to be in the rotation. Having guys like Dave Aranda and Pete Jenkins, and what is Matt Canada going to do with the offense? Smoke and mirrors, he's going to do some things. So it's all about how you're going to use your pawns and your players and stuff, and move them around, and player development. Also, it's going to come into football as a physical game. How many injuries are going to play into it? And guys who are playing okay in September will be playing a whole lot better in October and then November. So there'll be guys who are going to make tremendous strides throughout the year.
You have to hope that Alabama contributes to that. They made a mistake on a couple of them, because not all of them that they signed wind up in the NFL.
But they do. Let's face it. Maybe a little different slant here. I look at LSU players that go to the pros, and I say, looking back in Les Miles' time at LSU, and I say, maybe those players underachieved a bit at LSU when you look at what they've done when they got to the pros. On the flip side, I look at players at Alabama, and I say maybe they've overachieved a little bit at Alabama, because when they get to the pros, maybe they're not as proficient as they were when they were in college. Fair assessment?
Yeah, well, and that's true, and it's all about development and how good a guy wants to be. And things like that, and sometimes the team they're with as well. I mean, a player that lands with Bill Belichick might be a different situation. So the team that you're going to.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm not picking on this particular player, but I'll throw you just a couple years ago, LSU signed #1 inside linebacker out of Illinois, Clifton Garrett. Never played at LSU, went to UAB. I'm saying is that everybody was celebrating. We got the inside linebacker of the future, never panned out. I'm not picking on that one player. There's a lot of Clifton Garretts around and things like that. So you never know.
Coach, same question.
Yeah, I mean, it gets old after a while, but player evaluation, player development at every level is key, and then how that player is utilized. And you're exactly right that it's amazing how many LSU players get better they still have some potential that wasn't tapped while they were here.
Yeah.
And that could be the difference in what Ed Ogeron does and what has happened in the past. Can they do a great job of evaluating players with upside? Can they develop them every day into being the players they can be and then utilize them to the best of their ability? Alabama is outstanding, is that they're very specific. Remember, Saban comes from the Belichick tree. But go back and look at that Cleveland Brown staff that became the Baltimore Ravens and look at the people that were on that staff. That's like a who's who of coaches, and that's where LSU can make up some ground in the player development area.
Both you guys know Coach Ogeron pretty well. Negative recruiting on Coach Ogeron on his stint at Ole Miss? Were coaches coming in and kind of saying because he doesn't really have a track record except for what he did in a little small sample size at LSU? Was there some negative recruiting about saying, whether he's going to have longevity at LSU, whether he's a guy that's going to be able to be successful at LSU? Was that something that was being done?
It's sales, Eric. You use everything you can use. All's fair in love and war. I think that and he has been on a show with us. Ed Ogeron has learned a lot from his Ole Miss days to his USC days to his LSU days. He's learned a lot. You learn how to get better, and you talk to the players. If you talk to the players, they've told you how much difference he's made in practices and games, and he's hitting the right buttons. And when the players buy into it, that you're doing the right things, and again, something else about development. You may have a 6'6", 235-pound wide receiver that runs a 4.4, but Rick knows being a coach, if it takes you 10 times to learn a play, we got to move on.
That's right.
Rotation, you go through, I get a few reps, Rick gets a few reps, and this guy takes him 10 turns, we got to move on. Can't use this guy. Right. So it's all about, you got to be able to grasp what the coach will tell you and develop on the field.
So it's a total package.
Hey, yeah, so it's a lot more than the 4 or 5 stars of guys who run fast, jump high.
Right.
Yep, tons of negative recruiting.
Right.
Yes, because 80% of the college coaches are what I call itinerant lettuce pickers. They're just going from job to job. And their MO, and that's why the good ones, the ones who stay places, still study films. And they get kids to get to camp where they can see them firsthand. The rest of them are just doing whatever they can to hold on to their job. And when they lose one, go find another one. So those are the ones who live in the negative abyss on the dark side of college recruiting.
Guys, I want you to give me some names for the audience, some guys that you believe have a chance to come in. Look, the cupboard's not bare for LSU by any stretch. They got some young players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that have been waiting for an opportunity to be able to play. They're going to get that opportunity. But some players that you think may make an immediate impact, come in as a freshman and contribute.
Oh, I can tell you right now. We talked about it last night. First guy off the bat, because it's a position of need, is Austin Deculus, 6'6", 335. I compare him, think back at Andrew Whitworth.
Okay.
Same body type, 6'6", 335. He squats 600, and he is SEC ready. He performed very well. He moves very, very well. He is a left tackle, and he'll get in that rotation because that's something else you need. Grant Delpit and Jacoby Stevens are high-rated safeties. Jacoby Stevens, a 5-star guy, best safety in the country. They'll come in and play because they're that good, and the safety is a spot. They lost some people, Jamal Adams and stuff. And both those guys are Jamal Adams, Eric Reed types.
Okay.
Jacob Phillips is that inside linebacker that they flipped from Oklahoma. He'll play because he's that good, and they need an inside guy. But those 3 or 4 guys right now, it's hard to say too many other people. There'll be people, but those 4 for sure are guys I'm going to be watching.
Coach, what can you add? Do you agree with Rene?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Rene is on top of that completely. But I'm looking on the offensive side of the ball at kind of the long and short of it. I think Racey McMath, who's a man. When you look at him, you go, "Woo, he's a man." A great big target. Great hands, catches the ball away from his body, and there's a need for that. LSU is very thin, as strange as it seems, in the receiving core, and he could provide a good target. And I'm interested in a player that's there now and a player that they recruited, how Matt Canada uses John Trey Kirkland as an athlete, and Lindsey Scott from last year, who came there as a quarterback but has a lot of athletic potential, and he utilized that Darren Sproles type of multiple player being able to run speed sweeps and stuff. He had one at Pittsburgh. He's going to have an opportunity for several. I'm interested to see how he uses John Trey Kirkland, because that kid is a winner and is multi-talented. And I want to see from, once again, Lindsey Scott, whether he can make an appearance for them offensively.
Some positions they maybe wanted to fill but didn't get a chance to fill this season.
Well, obviously on offense, they wanted to add a running back because next year you're going to be losing Darrell Williams and Darius Gaille. So you want to, but people, young guys know LSU runs the ball. They'll be able to fill. I think they wanted to add another defensive lineman. They probably wanted to add maybe another, I don't know, probably a DB somewhere. A little surprise, actually, they didn't add maybe a kicker of some kind.
Okay.
But I think they filled all the spots. The running back maybe is the only spot they probably fell short on.
Coach?
Yeah, that's you're looking at balance. You never have enough edge rushers, so that would be somebody that they certainly want to have. And you never have enough defensive backs. So those are a couple areas that they could have had an opportunity, especially in the defensive line and edge rusher, the pressure type of player on defense.
Grade for the class that you give?
A-, B+.
Yeah, I have to look at your grading scale because here we go.
A-.
I mean, we've had straight A students on, and Rene's famous line is, "He and I have something in common. We never made a B."
Yeah, you're right. I never made a B.
But yeah, if you're a consensus 7 or 8 in the country out of 127 now, but it's not just a couple of dozen that you're looking at in the A category.
Okay. Sure. You're watching Inside New Orleans Sports each every Thursday night with our live broadcast right here on WLAE-TV. We have a rebroadcast every Friday night at 10 p.m. right here on WLAE, and also statewide every Friday night at 9 p.m. That's on Pelican Sports Television. We're talking recruiting. We hope to get to the New Orleans Saints as well. Rene Nadeau and Coach Rick Gaille of SportsNola.com, WHNO-TV. And when we come back, Tulane fans, we got you covered. We'll talk a little Tulane recruiting next on Inside New Orleans Sports.
Located at 3701 Iberville Street in Mid-City is Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Open 7 days a week, Katie's offers daily specials for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Serving New Orleans cuisine such as fried shrimp platters, grilled redfish, and a fully stocked bar. And don't forget about our expanded event seating and local entertainment. Featured on the Best of Food Network's diners, drive-ins, and dives, Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Amco Fence, locally owned and operated since 1976. Fully licensed and insured and a member of the BBB, Amco serves both residential and commercial customers. If you're looking to repair, replace, or install a fence for security or aesthetic reasons, Amco Fence supplies wooden, metal, chain link, vinyl, and ornamental or automatic gates. Amco aims to satisfy your fencing needs. Amco Fence, 504-468-9559 or AmcoFenceCompany.com.
TikTok Cafe, located on Causeway South at the I-10 in Metairie, is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our menu offers breakfast dishes like our Western omelet made from scratch biscuits, grits, egg sunny side up, and lunch specials like our homemade cheeseburgers with a side of golden brown fries. Don't forget about our weekday lunch special and that every Tuesday is steak night. TikTok Cafe, open 24/7 at Causeway South at the I-10 in Metairie.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Rene Nadeau and Coach Rick Gaille are our guests tonight. Tulane fans, I know you're always getting on me. I don't talk enough about Tulane. I'll say it again. I said it to Coach Mark Schlesinger last week on the program. Give me a reason to talk about Tulane. I want to talk about Tulane. We're talking about Tulane tonight because it is recruiting. After a tough first season for Coach Willie Fritz, not used to losing, okay? He hit the recruiting trail early. He got 3 JUCO players to come in. It looks like he's filled that quarterback position with Jonathan Banks. But not a lot of local players in this recruiting class. I guess he used a lot of his contacts that he had when he was in his previous jobs. Rene, I'll take you first. What do you think about this recruiting class for the Green Wave?
You know, the thing I'll start with saying this. He was within a hair of going 6-6. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, he was close.
Yes.
You look at some of the games early, especially in the season, bounce of the ball here and there, and maybe inexperience when I heard him. But he did bring in some players. Jonathan Banks looks like the heir apparent. They're going to give him every opportunity to win that starting job. I think the guys are going to get better who played last year, experience. He did sign only local guys, 2 guys in state or offensive linemen, Cameron Jackal and Corey Dublin, both out of Catholic school guys, and I think they'll both get ample opportunity to get in a rotation offensive line. The thing is that he did bring in some guys defensively that I think gonna get a chance to see the field as well. He rated somewhere about 7th or 8th recruiting wise in the conference. Mm-hmm. He signed I think 8 3-star guys. He signed 11 3-star guys last year. So in the maturation process, mm-hmm. if you go by last year and what he did this year, he's headed in the right direction. I think he's going to do it, and I think you'll see a nice movement forward in the guys who played last year and how much they improved. And also, you lost a couple of guys last year. I'm thinking of a guy off the top of my head, Junior Diaz, a safety, a center, who went down. As important as a position that is in the offensive line, that didn't help the offensive line. So you're going to have guys coming back who were hurt last year. 2 or 3 guys were key guys are going to help the 2017 version.
Coach?
It's encouraging that Tulane is cooperating and working with him to get the right junior college kids in.
Right.
There's a lot of community college and JC kids out there who are Tulane caliber students. There's some parts of the country, California certainly one of them, that it's kind of natural that you go to your community college because you get to go for free. And I keep coming back to Aaron Rodgers, who was a community college player in California before he went to Cal, and obviously doing the things that he's doing. So I'm happy that Tulane is doing that. And it's important that those players work, that the ones who are on campus right now, that they're good citizens, good students, and that they're successful playing, because now that encourages the Tulane administration to keep working with Coach Fritz and allowing transfers to come in. So that's a positive. It's going to be hard for us to evaluate the class as much research as Rene does into it, because they're from all over the place. It's as international as a university is in getting people from all over the place, and that can be a positive. But it's almost like you got to try to only get 2, not just local kids. That's the only 2 from Louisiana.
Yeah.
And both of them are linemen. And what is the state known for? They're known for skilled players.
Yes, right.
And I love both of the kids, by the way, Dublin and Jackal. I really like both of them, and they're going to be able to contribute in an area of need. But it's almost head scratching to figure out why only 2 from Louisiana. But Coach Fritz knows what he wants to do system-wise. He does a good job of developing players. They got better last year from beginning to end in their ability to play the game. So I'm looking forward to this particular class and learning who the players are and watching them develop.
Guys, when I saw the system that he put in, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I thought it was very, very attractive to the type of athlete that we have here in Louisiana. I thought it was a natural fit, so it really surprised me that you didn't get more athletes from Louisiana in this class. With that said, Coach, you've been on both sides of this. Recruiting coordinator at Tulane, head coach at St. James. Has he done enough to be able to get out and make inroads with the high school coaches? Are they recruiting Louisiana heavy, or has he kind of leaned on what he's utilized in the past in terms of schools and coaches, and still kind of slow in making inroads?
There are certain places that he's gotten out and about, but I don't think as a staff that they have hit Louisiana as hard as they need to. They may be assuming, and this is just my observation, that all the good players are going to go to LSU. And that's a dangerous assumption.
That is.
Because you got to make the kid tell you, no, I don't want to go to Tulane. How many times did Tulane recruit oppose LSU on a kid? How many times did they fight for a kid with LSU? You got to make those kids tell you no. There's a lot of kids, as we all know, whose families are Tulane families who are good players and would love some attention and could contribute very strongly to the LSU program. When you look historically, we've gotten kids from the Florida parishes, from a meet, from Independence, from the river parishes. Lutcher especially has a good line of Tulane athletes.
No doubt.
St. Charles Catholic and the like. So he has gotten around, and the whole staff is learning Louisiana recruiting, because Slade Nagel is the only one on the staff that has any idea what it's like to recruit in Louisiana, which is a lot of developing relationships with coaches, with fans, in some cases, with high school administrators and the like. So they've got a ways to go in that. I'm happy to see that he's not going to take a local player just because he's a local player. That bit CJ bad, that he over-evaluated some players who really weren't good enough just because they were local players. But only getting 2 is a bit of a concern. But we'll find out. If we could get him on Prep Recruiting Insider,
we'll find out,
then we'll know for sure, because he didn't come on with us last year, and that was. But he was just learning.
Right.
Okay. And he didn't speak at our clinic this year. We had the LFCA clinic with the Superdome Classic.
That's got to be huge, not to speak at that, though, right?
Yes, indeed. Because guess who did? Ed Ogeron,
right?
Okay, and we went to Coach Fritz first,
right? And those are high school coaches that are there, right?
100%.
So
yes,
I mean, that's a way to make inroads.
So that's the stuff you have to learn in Louisiana. That's important, especially.
It's about relationships, right, guys?
Yes, it really is. And the thing is, but I'll say this, and Rick knows this. You gotta recruit with the teams that you compete, and you got to beat them. Tulane won some recruiting battles with California, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Yes,
so they had kids with those type of offers, South Florida, UCF, and they took kids who had offers and could have gone there, and they come into Tulane. So I'm saying is that you can't compete with schools that you don't even play against. You got to beat the schools that are as good or better than you, maybe higher rated. And when you do that, that's how you get to that next level.
You know, it's interesting. I had Gary Smith on yesterday, who covers the Greenway for the Advocate, and he mentioned something to me that I've never heard before, and I'd like to get you guys' take on it. There were kids in this Tulane program that went to Tulane for the education, but really were not fully committed to football. Now that's the opposite of what we see in the Power 5, Power 6 conferences, where kids go to college to go to play football, hoping they got a chance at the pros. It was just maybe the opposite with some of the players at Tulane. Guys?
Well, education is first, and
Absolutely,
everybody's going to say that. I want to go there because education will get you there. Don't know if you'll make it to the NFL, but you have to, and that is about player evaluation, sitting down one-on-one and finding out how bad do you want this? This is what we're going to expect of you. You were a star in high school. You may not be here. Can you step up and that type of thing? So that shame on the coaches. If you ever, whatever school it is, if you're bringing in a young man, a young lady, and they not sold out to your program or are going to meet your expectations and realize what you're expecting of them, and they're not willing to put forward. Like, I want to get my grades, which is fine, but if I see the field, if I see the court, it's okay. You got to get the right fit and the players that can lift you to the next level.
Coach, you
saw
coached
it firsthand.
You saw it firsthand?
Yes.
Come on, tell us a little about it.
No doubt about it. This is what Tulane needs to do to be successful. You've got to recruit athletes in any sport, but we're talking about football. You've got to recruit football players that want to develop their intelligence and play in the NFL, and everything in your program has got to be world-class to help develop those players to play in the NFL. If you don't want to play in the NFL, if that's not a goal of yours, you don't need them in your program. It is okay to be world-class in education and in athletics. Ask Stanford. Ask Duke now.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Ask Northwestern. If you're a world-class university, you're supposed to be world-class in everything you do, including, goes back to player development again, okay? But it's got to be somebody who wants to get to the highest level in everything you do. And that's what the whole university should be about.
And I tell you what, quick, Zach Streep was on our show last year, and being in New Orleans for as long as he has, he said, if I'm an offensive lineman, which he is, he said, I tell kids, I go to Tulane, get a great education, and NFL teams will find you. Smart. And so Zach is a poster child for a perfect offensive lineman, intelligent Northwestern guy.
No doubt. Guys, I was impressed by what Coach Fritz said the other day when he was talking about the type of athlete he wants. That he wants guys, there were some guys that he doesn't even want to go see if they're not going to fit what they want at Tulane in terms of their athletic ability. You know, a lot of times you're looking at 2 and 3 stars and you're hoping you can coach those guys up so that by the time they're leaving, people are saying, wow, you know what? This guy outkicked the coverage, so to speak.
Absolutely. You want the youngest players that are available so they have maximum upside to it and get, once again, world-class in player development. But what is the most impressive thing about Coach Fritz is that he knows what he wants to do. He knows the skill and talent and abilities that are necessary for him to do what he's supposed to do and can identify that early on in the process. That's what he does best in all 3 phases of the game, not just offensively. That's what's good about coming from the levels that he came up. You've got to learn the whole game. You can't just specialize in one area. You've got to be an expert in offense, defense, and the kicking game, and the skills that are required and how to teach that. He's excellent at that.
866-3200 is the phone number. You want to get involved in tonight's show. We will take some Saints questions if you have those as well. How about the rest of the state? How did the rest of the state do? Do we have I guess my main question is, do we see a lot of out-migration of players to schools outside of the state? Or did a lot of the athletes stay in-state?
Well, I'll say this. You know, Louisiana Tech did well. ULL did well. Some of the Southern Conference schools, and I tell you particularly who's doing outstanding the last 2 or 3 years is Nicholls State. Tim Rebo's doing outstanding. This was not a really big year in Louisiana for highlight. This was one of the more down years in the last 10 years. It wasn't as top heavy in the 4- and 5-star rated players. There were a lot of good players, and there were a lot of good players in the metro area, but not the highly rated players. There were some highly rated players this year that in previous years, a year or 2 ago, may not have made the top 10, but they were one of the better players in this class this year.
Coach, your synopsis.
Yeah, it's amazing in this state how many good football programs we have. Southeastern has done consistently well. You mentioned, Rene, Nicholls State. What a great job that they do there. McNeese and ULL, ULM, just remarkable jobs with what they do. And the best thing about yesterday is 127 Division I schools and another 150 or so playoff schools, division schools, and all of them had the best recruiting class in the history of the world in their situations. But boy, I mean, you are indeed seeing some good players, and I think Renee's exactly right. This may be been a very good year for them because there's a bunch of kids in that would be lower rated right now who are young but are going to develop into players. There's going to be a bunch of them down the road that we're going to go, how in the world did he wind up at Lafayette instead of LSU? How did he wind up at McNeese or Tech of those?
Right.
There's going to be a bunch of those because you're exactly right. There wasn't as many at the top that gets the headlines, but there's still a bunch of really good football players in Louisiana that are going to develop into good players. So that bodes well for the other schools.
To the phone lines we go. Our guests tonight, Coach Rick Gaille and Rene Nadeau of SportsNola.com, WHNO-TV, to New Orleans East, and DJ. DJ, welcome to the show. Hey, DJ.
Eric and you guys. Look, a question about some LSU players that are presently on the team. I wanted to find out about Divinity, and I think it was White, the linebackers, and also Andre Anthony. And does he think that these guys are going to get the feel and be in the rotation? And I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you. Divinity, White, and I think it was I missed the last one.
Andre Anthony. Andre Anthony gained a little weight. It was a redshirt year last year. Divinity is a really good player. Can play inside or outside. He'll definitely see the field this year. He made some strides. He's a special teams guy. And Devin White.
Can I gush on him? Huh? I love the kid.
Who, Devin White?
Oh, yeah. I think he's the next great linebacker at LSU.
And he can run, buddy, and he will hit you. He's about 255, and I've seen him play in high school. He's put together. He is a downhill tackler. So Devin White is a linebacker of the future. I think Divinity we'll definitely see in the rotation. And Andre Anthony, he was 210 when he arrived. He's about 225, I think, now. He's an outside linebacker. He'll be good.
Let's go to Toby in Kenner. Toby, welcome to Inside New Orleans Sports. Hey, Toby.
Yeah, Eric, this is about maybe there's too many state colleges in Louisiana, and maybe it could saturate some of the field. I'd like to get your opinion on that. Okay. Thank you.
Guys, they've been talking about merging colleges and universities here in Louisiana for about the last decade. It hasn't gotten any traction. Politically, it's just not going to happen, I don't think. But is there an oversaturation of universities, or is it an opportunity for more kids to get a chance to be able to play sports?
In this state, it's a great opportunity because there's plenty of good kids that get overlooked by the Power 5 conference schools. When you look at the North Shore or the Florida parish, I-55 corridor, when you look at the river parishes, just out besides the kids who aren't necessarily stars in Orleans and Jefferson in the Catholic League, there's a lot of good college football players. And as you're exactly right, there should be some consolidation. Yes. On the academic side, that's where it comes down to. Not so much the athletic side.
Yeah. The duplication of degree programs is the problem.
Exactly. And we haven't even talked about Southern University and Grambling. Right. Those are good football programs that our kids get an opportunity to be able to play, because there's once again a lot of good kids, not only from a skill perspective and an athletic perspective, but who really do want to have a chance to play football. And it's not a lifetime sport. So after college, that's it. So if they're getting a chance to play and doing good jobs with it.
Guys, let's shift gears to the Saints with the time we have left. Some changes on the coaching staff. Obviously, we know Joe Vitt, Bill Johnson, Greg McMahon, the big three that were let go, not retained, fired, however you want to put it. Mike Nolan comes in, former head coach, former defensive coordinator. Now the linebackers coach, Curtis Johnson, comes back to handle the wide receiving corps. Done a great job, obviously, in the pros at doing that. Branford Banta is now going to be the special teams coordinator. It looks like Kevin O'Day will stay on in some capacity. Still no word on the defensive line coach. Some of the think it might be Brian Young, who's already on the staff. They maybe go outside the staff and fill that. But obviously, you guys know Dick Nolan that was here coaching the Saints way back when. His son was here during that time, obviously. His son now gets a chance to be able to coach where his dad once coached.
And Mike Nolan was at LSU for a while.
There you go.
And, Mike Nolan is very much like a Dennis Allen guy. Head coaching experience, comes in here, coach the linebackers. So he will be, I'm sure they talked about it, he'll be with Dennis Allen and Sean Payton. They'll have a lot to talk about that. I can tell you what, the players are excited, and the media's excited about CJ coming back and coaching the wide receivers.
Yeah,
he's a great. The players bought into him as a wide receivers coach, and
he developed wide receivers.
He really did.
You look at him.
The Colsons and the Meachams and the Devery Hendersons. Oh yeah, believe me. He had a lot to do with those receivers that went to the Super Bowl, and Colson will tell you that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Kelly Nolan, Mike's brother, was at Rummel when I was there. So talk about a great football family, wonderful people, a great addition. Obviously knows what he does, presents himself very well. That's going to bring some life to the staff that they really needed. And especially with Mike on the defensive side of the ball, is going to bring some cohesiveness to that side. So the defensive line coach is important because that side of the ball can't have any spies, for lack of a better term.
Yes.
The defensive coordinator's got to report to the head coach and not have an intermediary
like Joe Vitt was.
Yes, indeed. He was the eyes and ears of Sean Payton in the defensive meeting room. Now, boom, gets Dennis Allen directly to the head coach, Mike Nolan, who was a head coach, and that can be dangerous in some cases, except you talk about a lifer coach. Mike Nolan, I think, is going to be extraordinarily loyal to Dennis Allen and the program. Really good hire.
And surrounding now, bringing in, for the first time, head coaches, former head coaches on this staff, right?
And that's confidence on Sean to do that, and Mickey Loomis.
Right.
And, in some cases, you'd be shaking a beehive
Sure.
and bringing in some different personalities, but evidently they think this is the way it's going to work, and everyone's bought into it. Dennis Allen has, Mike Nolan has, it looks like. So as long as everybody's on board, hey, it's a happy ship,
right?
You know?
That's right. Is there anybody more loyal than CJ?
Oh,
no.
wow,
I mean,
no.
you can't have a better person than that.
And they've been loyal to him as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. There's no doubt about that.
And that's a good relationship.
Guys, Super Bowl on Sunday. The New England Patriots taking on the Atlanta Falcons. I've already said, I'm on the record, there's no way I can pull for the Falcons. It'd be like pulling for the Russians, okay? There's no way I want to see them drop a banner in their brand new stadium, okay? I'd like to see them get shut out. We know it won't happen, but with that said, give me your expert analysis on what's going to happen on Sunday. Rene, we'll take you first.
Falcons jump out quick on a lot of games. I can foresee, I've been wrong before, more wrong than right. I can almost see the Falcons, if they get things click, they can jump out to a 10-0 lead. I really can see that. They use that tight end and a lot, and Matt Ryan is having a unbelievably crazy season. Yes. Tom Brady, it's going to be a lot of fall on him. 7th appearance, most than any player ever. I can see the Patriots certainly winning, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than what people think. And could I see the Falcons winning? Yes, I could see the Falcons winning.
Don't say that on this program, but okay. Coach?
Rene, I heard something in that Rene said he's been wrong before, and I think it's only happened one time. I think it was earlier today. He thought he was wrong about something, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
But that's some good analysis there. I'm gonna make a prediction Saturday on the 3 tailgaters. Right now, I'm leaning toward New England. They're the more complete team. The difference between their offense and defense is narrower than the difference on the Falcons between the offense and the defense. Falcons are starting 4 rookies in what they play the most in their nickel packages. Their nickel back is a rookie, but now they've played much better, and they've gotten much better as those rookies have indeed developed. One of them, Debo Jones, from Jesuit. Robert Alford from Southeastern is really good in the secondary. But kick coverage could be a difference in the game. New England is exceptional at it. We saw some weaknesses with Devin Hester in the Seattle game in their kick coverage, so that is leaning to New England. So I'm leaning to New England right now. But we're going to talk about it for 2 hours on your radio show tomorrow, and I'll go through some more notes and video. But right now I'm leaning to New England.
Well, guys, I don't want to rain on the Saints fans parade, but I've been talking about it on the shows for the last couple of weeks. You need to go research the Atlanta Falcons drafts, and you will see why the Atlanta Falcons are in the Super Bowl. They have not missed much. A couple of 7th-round picks, 1 4th-round pick over the last 5 years, and that's why they are where they are today. Rene, Nadeau, Coach Rick Gaille, thanks so much for being with us tonight on Inside New Orleans Sports.
Thank you, Eric. Our pleasure.
Thanks so much. And thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, there's a rebroadcast of this program each and every Friday night right here on WLAE-TV. Also on Pelican Sports Television. That is 9 o'clock on Fridays, 10 o'clock on WLAE. Don't forget to catch me on the radio, 990 AM WGSO. That is 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. weekdays. You can listen live, download the podcast at ericasher.com. Also, the TuneIn Radio app is a great way to take the show with you anywhere. It's a free download for your smartphone or tablet. Also, all the previous episodes of Inside New Orleans Sports can be seen at ericasher.com as well. Great panel tonight. Hope you enjoyed talking a little high school football and recruiting. Rene, Nadeau, and also Coach Rick Gaille, thanks to them for their time tonight. And also to the WLAE production staff, including Ron Yeager, Jim Dotson, Donovan Joseph, Richard King, Kenny Juno, Naila Jones, Philip Williamson, and my director, William Hill. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week for another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports.
Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is the first place award winner of the 2015 New Orleans Press Club's Excellence in Journalism Award for the category of Best TV Sports Show.